Wow, someone's actually watching this. My name's Sophia Perlman. I'm from Toronto, and ever since I was a little kid, I've been climbing up on every single stage I could find, whether it was real or imaginary, and singing at the top of my lungs. I went to Humber College for jazz, and for the last 8 years, I've been working in Toronto as a singer in clubs and at festivals and on recordings and as a gun-for-hire background vocalist. And last fall, I took the first step of taking a band on tour out west as a band leader. Since I don't have a grant or any label support, I need to raise $6,000 for another tour of Western Canada. And if this is what you're picturing, please let me put your mind at ease. I would never dream of asking you to part with your hard-earned money to fund something like that. The fact of the matter is, right now artists are crisscrossing the country without any kind of financial support, touring and bringing their music to new audiences. Right now, that's me. This kind of tour needs a vehicle, some musicians to put in it, their luggage, an overly optimistic number of CDs, all of their instruments and the gear and the equipment that you need, and once you find a way to load it all into the van, you say goodbye to everyone you love, and you drive, and you drive, and you drive, and you play a show somewhere, and then you drive, and you drive, and you play, and you drive, and you play. And Canada's huge, so sometimes you have to drive a really long way in between shows. Mountains take way longer than this in real life. And when you finally get to the big city, you realize that that's not even where your show is, and you have to take a ferry boat and drive some more. And the rest of a tour is about driving that fine line between it being awesome and it being awful, and that responsibility falls on the band leader, which is me. The first step is to find musicians that not only you like playing with, but you wouldn't mind being trapped in a car with for 3,000 kilometers. I'm really lucky because in my band, I've got Ross McIntyre, who's the bassist who plays with absolutely everybody. And then there's Jeff Halischuk, who's a great drummer I met at Humber College and who I've always been in at least one band with for the last 10 years. And Adrian Ferrugia, the pianist, who's playing I Loved So Much, I Married It. These guys are some of my best friends, and as musicians, there's nobody better. They take the music that's in my head, and they turn it into something way more magical than I ever could have conceived of. And it's not really particularly surprising. They've played with absolutely everyone. And even though they deserve to be treated like this, they've agreed to do this with me. So now the pressure's really on to make sure that this tour stays in the awesome category. There's a bunch of things that make a tour awesome, but the first thing, frankly, is if everyone can pay their bills when they get home, seeing as they weren't at home, playing with all the other amazing people that they play with on a regular basis. Thankfully for me, this particular tour, we're making enough money on the shows to pay everyone fairly. So now I just have to figure out how to earn the money to pay for the other things that will make this tour awesome for my awesome band. The first thing I need is airfare for 2 to Saskatoon. Only 2, because I'm going on ahead to try and raise some money for the rest of the tour, and Adrian's getting dropped off on the way home from another tour. That makes things a little simpler if I only have to fly 2, but then we have to pick them up in Saskatoon, and a van that's big enough for all that stuff, and gas to power it across the country is expensive. In between long drives, my band deserves to have places where they can lie flat in a real bed with a door that closes and rest up for a busy day. And having extra time and being able to stop in the middle of a long drive makes a huge difference. Driving overnight sounds romantic, but Drumheller is way more fun during the day than it is at night, especially if you're the one who's stuck driving when everyone else has given up on trying to stay awake and keep you company. Delirium starts to set in, and it can be a scary, scary, scary place. And finally, I need the money to send them home, because they all have people at home who will miss them.
Thank you so much for watching this and for taking the time to consider helping me out. I just quit my day job to pursue singing full time, and this tour is a really big step, and I'm really excited. And so, from me and from the band, thank you. Please look at the Indiegogo page because there are some thank you presents, and I would love to send you one. And I will see you very soon. Thanks.